Good morning, everyone. I thought I would just show the game Vikings Siege of Paris, just to give a bit of a demonstration. First thing you do is, from your deck, you separate them into three different piles, and you take two from each. So two from the third section, two from the second section, and two from the first section, and take them out so you get a little bit more randomness when you play the game each time. I'm also going to set parents defense at 3. So if I do that, your normal start is 2, 2, 2, and 2 here. But every time you move this up, you have to take 2 away from this track. So I'll take 1 military and 1 morale away as a starter, and we'll just jump right in. First card is Ragnar Lothbrok. Viking forces were supposedly led by Ragnar Lothbrok, who depicted in the TV series The Vikings. All Vikings advance, supply goes up by 1, and for my dice roll modifier, Ragnar is -1, Vikings are -1. So each Viking is going to advance as they come down the Seine. Supply goes up by 1, and my choice, I think, with Ragnar -1, Viking -1, I'm going to try and move back Ivar and Bjorn. So we'll try Ivar first. It's a 2. I don't do it. Bjorn is a 6. Well, so I will. So all the Vikings are rated for 2. If I roll a 1 or a 2, I don't move them back. Second card. The French reinforced Paris, knowing the Vikings are just days away from sieging the city. Ivar and Ragnar will advance. So Ivar and Ragnar will advance. All the resources go up by 1, which is good for me. And Ragnar is a +1 modifier, and the Viking is a +1. Now, I made some adjustments on the card. Same with Siege of Paris. I'll change the spelling on the copy that you guys received, the free PDF. I was just adjusting through playtesting. So this time, I think what I will do is Ragnar's a +1, so let's move him back once. So 6 + 1 is a 7. He will move back. And maybe I'll move him back again. He's another +1 modifier. 2 + 1 is 3, so I will move him back. So off to a pretty good start. Third card, Vikings arrive. The Vikings arrive in Paris on Easter Sunday, March 29, 845. They picked that Sunday on purpose as a strategic move since most people would be in church. Ivar and Bjorn will move. So Ivar and Bjorn will move. Military goes down 1, so that goes from a 2 to a 1. And my modifier is +1 on Ragnar, Bjorn, and Ivar. So some good modifiers here early. I think I'll move Ivar back, and that will work. And for my second move, I think I will, let's do Ivar again. And he does move back. Next card. Ragnar's fleet consisted of 120 Viking ships carrying thousands of warriors. It was thought he had 4,000 warriors with him. Ragnar and Bjorn will advance. So Ragnar and Bjorn. Morale goes down by 1. Military goes up by 1. All Vikings are -1. I think what I'll do first of all, my morale right now is at 1. I'm going to try and boost that up. You don't want it to get to 0. If it gets to 0, all the Viking strength changes from a 2 to a 3. So it makes it more difficult to push them back. So I'm going to go and try and boost morale. I need a 3 to 6. And I get a 5, so that moves up to a 2. And for my second one, maybe I'll move Bjorn back, but it's -1. So 4 - 1 is a 3. I'm still able to move him back. Next one. Ragnar Lothbrok had 2 sons who became famous in Viking lore themselves, Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless. Again, when I do the cards for you guys, I'll make sure that the edges are a little bit better than this practice set. Ragnar and Bjorn are going to move. So Ragnar and Bjorn move. No effect on my military supply morale, and Ragnar and Ivar are -1 modifiers. So maybe I'll move Bjorn back. and I do. And I think I'll push Bjorn right back, and I do. So things going really well for me right now. Usually I win about 50% of the time. Rope across the Seine. A strategy that could possibly stop the Vikings was to attach and cinch a rope from one side of the Seine to the other to stop the advance of the Vikings and launch an archer attack. Ivor will move 1. Viking 1 will move 2. So Ivor moves 1. Viking 2 moves 2. Morale does go up. Viking 2 is a +2 modifier, so I'm going to take advantage of that, maybe push them back. And that will work. And I'll try them again. 1 + 2 is a 3, so that will work. I think I'm going to have to change that to a 1 because it would be an automatic if it's a +1 modifier. So that's one thing I noticed as I'm playing here this morning. Next one. Honor Odin. The Vikings hang the French prisoners in the first battle to honor the Norse god Odin and incite terror in the remaining Frankish troops. Nobody's going to move. Supply goes down by 1. And Vikings Ivor is -1. Viking 1 is a -1. So let's try and move Ragnar down. And I don't do it. Try it again for Ragnar, and I don't do it. So tide's starting to turn here. Next one, Charles splits his army. Charles the Bald split his army in 2. Each took to one side of the river. By doing this, he decreased the strength of his army. Interesting fact is that when the Vikings did come down the Seine, Charles the Bald did separate his army, put one on one side, one on the other side, and Ragnar Lothbrok just chose the side with less warriors and put all his ships to that side, and they eventually just massacred the whole side. The French lost that battle. They had to retreat. Many were killed. And the other side just stood watching because they couldn't get across the river. So tactically, not a smart move by Charles the Bald. When the Vikings did come, he lost half his resources. So Ivor's going to move and Bjorn is going to move. And all my resources go down by 1. And Vikings are all a -1 modifier. So because of the event, you'll take a hit as a resulting effect of what was read. I think for right now, first thing I'm going to do is improve my military. Oh, and I don't do it. I will. Oh, man. Military or Ivor. It's a -1. Let's push Ivor back. 3 - 1 is a 2, so I don't do it. I should have improved my military. I don't like it sitting on 1. Next one, Vikings hit Rouen. The Vikings first raided Rouen on their way up the Seine in 845. Ragnar, Bjorn, and Ivor are now all advancing. And -1 morale, -1 military. My military is now sitting at 0. If it is 0 at the end of the turn, the lowest Viking gets to advance 1. So I need to address that. Ragnar's -2. Bjorn is -1. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and improve my military, and I do. So that is now on 1, and I'll move Ivor back, and I do. Next one. Ragnar wants revenge. Ragnar Lothbrok was given land in Germany by Charles the Bold. He eventually lost the land, and many feel his raid on Paris was revenge for losing that land. Bjorn and Ivor will advance 1. Morale does go up by 1, but my modifiers, Ragnar's -1, Bjorn's -1, Ivor's -1. I need to move Ivor back. So I'm going to try Ivor first. A 6, I do move him back. I'm going to try and improve my military. It's sitting at 1, and I do. So all my military supply and morale is now sitting at 2. So I didn't want my military at 0, so then the Vikings would advance. Next one, 799, the first attack. The Vikings were first thought to have attacked the French in 799. The French then built a defense system in 810 to repel the Vikings. It worked for a time. Ragnar, Viking 1, and Bjorn. So the Vikings are really starting to move on. Ragnar, Viking 1, and Bjorn. my military does go up by 1. Ragnar, Bjorn, and Ivar are all -1 modifiers. Now this is the rope, and I can play the rope card at any time. And what that would do, if I had 4 Vikings on this line right here where the rope goes across, I could take off 4 cards off my timer, which helps me. So if I can get through the timer without the Vikings reaching Paris, I win the game. So I'm not going to use it now. There's only 1 there. But I will try and push them back. I think I will push Ragnar back. -1 modifier. So a 4 -1 is a 3. So I do move him back. The Viking 1 is the only one without a modifier. I think I will. I think I'll try and push him back while I can. I draw a 6, so I will push him back. Next one. Vikings enter the Seine. So the cards are all numbered so that you'll get, they're out of sequence, but it changes the game around. You can play them in sequence or out of. I like playing out of sequence. Each game is different. Enter the Seine River on their way to Paris in March of 845. Viking 1 and Ivar. So Ivar and Viking 1 are each going to move. There's no effect on our resources, but Viking 1 is a +1 dice 1 modifier, and Ragnar's -1. So I think I'll move Ivar back. At 2, I don't do it. I'll try Ivar again, and I do move him back. Next one, Charles the Bald. Charles the Bald was the leader of the French at the time. Viking 1 and Ragnar will advance. All my supplies go up by 1, and all Vikings are -2 modifiers. Oh, man. I think what I will do is try for Ragnar with -2. That's not going to work. Yeah, I don't like this modifier. I think I'm going to try and improve my supply. And I don't do that either. Oh, man. Next one. Hang 111 prisoners. After the Vikings defeated the smaller French army on one side of the Seine, they took 111 prisoners and hanged them on an island on the Seine River. Ivar and Bjorn are going to move. So Ivar and Bjorn will move. Supply is -1. Morale is -1. Ivar's a +1 modifier. I think I'm going to play my rope card. So keep your card in hand when desired. Can play at any time to active rope across the Seine to stop the Vikings and deploy your archers. The archers can fire. So this will take off 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And I think for my turn, I'm going to leave those there. I'm going to try and increase my supply. That goes up by 1. I'll try my supply again. That goes up. So I have 4 extra turns. I'll get rid of these 3 cards, and I will attack Ivar with my militia and my archers. So we'll bring them on. And we're going to take on Ivar, who's the closest to the side. So the archers will fire first. If they get a 4, it's a hit on Ivar. And, oh, they miss. That is a surprise shot. Now, from here on, they're going to take turns. So we'll start with the archer's turn. And that is a hit. Now, if it's a 1, it is... the shield wall will deflect the arrows. Oh, it is a 1. So it's a hit by the archers, but the shield wall deflects it. So a big break there for the Vikings. Maybe I will roll 2 dice. So Vikings turn. So Ivar's going to fire at the archers. He needs 1, 2, or 3 for a hit. He gets a 2, and this is the fence fight. So he takes out the archers. Oh, most of the time I've been able to kill Ivar, but now it doesn't look good. It is now the French turn. I think I'm going to retreat. I'm going to retreat back to Paris. Let's see here. Or do I try and take him on? Maybe I will try and take him on. All right, so the militia is going to fire. Black die is the attack die. It's a 3, so it's not under there. So Ivar's turn. He's a 3. Doesn't get it. The French, yeah, we're going to try again. Doesn't get it. Ivor's turn. Doesn't get it. Militia looking for a 2. Don't get it on the black die. Ivor, he is under, but it is stopped. The shield wall by the French stops it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to retreat back to Paris. I don't like the looks of this battle right now, and I wanted to have Ivor lose a couple of, every time there's a hit, you would rotate it from 3 lives to 2 to 1 to none. Usually the archers take out a couple on Ivor. He's still super strong, so I think I'm going to wait and take my chances with the cards. So the battle continues. Vikings take prisoners. When the Vikings sacked Rouen, they took prisoners and made the families pay a ransom to get them back. Others were sold as slaves. They left very wealthy. Ragnar and Bjorn will also move on. Morale goes down by 1. Ragnar, Bjorn, and Ivor all -1. So I have to push back Bjorn or Ivor, or they'll be on the shores of Paris by next turn. So let's go Bjorn first. We're going to use a military. So a military is going to add 1 to my die roll. So that will negate the -1. So we'll do Ragnar first, and we do move him back. We'll use another military for Bjorn, and again we move him back. So I actually didn't need them, but I wanted to be sure, so I pushed them back. Ragnar paid 7,000. Charles the Bald paid Ragnar Lothbrok 7,000 pounds in gold and silver to leave the city. This encouraged more raids in the future. So Ragnar and Bjorn are both coming right back. No effect on my charts. Ragnar's -1. Viking 1 is a +2. So that's a big incentive to take him out. But I need to get these 2. So we'll do Bjorn first. And it's a 2, so I don't move him back. We'll try Bjorn again. A 5. I do move him back. I am going to use one of my supply turns. Supply currently is at 4. I'm going to use that. And I think I'm going to use a military to negate that -1 roll to move Ragnar back. And 1 is not going to do it. I'm going to use another supply turn. So the modifier comes back on, and I do move him back. So my supply is down to 2, my military is 1, my morale is 1. French army leaves. When the Vikings attacked Paris, Charles the Bald directed his army, sorry, I'm going to have to clean up the wording on that. Told his army to defend the Abbey of Saint Denis, and they left Paris to defend for themselves. So Ragnar and Ivor will advance. Military goes up by 1. Supply goes up 1. No effect. So we're going to push back Ragnar first. Don't do it. Push back Ragnar again. Don't do it. I'm going to use a supply to push back Ragnar. Still don't do it. I'm going to use a supply to push back Ivor. Still don't do it. Oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, geez. Oh, I still got lots of cards left. Man, that's bad luck. Next one. Should have used my military, I guess. Paris, the island city. Many of the French citizens realized Charles the Bald left the island city of Paris to defend for itself and left with all their valuables. Ragnar and Bjorn. So Ragnar is now in Paris. Bjorn is on the doors. Supply is -1, which means I only get 1 turn because it's a 0. Oh, geez. So I only get the 1 turn. Obviously, I got to try and push back Ragnar. And I don't do it. And that's my only turn. So now the Ragnar is going to try and storm Paris. My defense is 1 to 3. If it's a 4, 5, 6, we are going to go right to the Siege of Paris. And I could be in a little bit of hot water here as the Vikings have invaded the city. Let's see how I do here. It's a 2, so I do hold them off. So they're not in the city yet. But boy, they're on the gates, and I only have 1 turn. I got to get the supply up. Right now, my military's at 2, my supply's at 0, my morale's at 1. Things are not looking good for me this game. So much for 50% win chance. Next one. Francia reinforces. While in Paris, Charles the Bald was collecting reinforcements and was looking to block the Viking escape. All retreat 1. Oh, that card, man. Is that ever nice having that come now? So all of them will retreat 1, so that saves me. So the French do push them back. All my resources go up 1, so I get my 2 turns back. And I have so this is probably the best French card that comes out. And it came just at the right amount of time. Each of them has a modifier of 1. So I'm going to push back Ragnar, and I do. And who should I push back now? Let's push back Bjorn, I guess. And 1 + 1 is a 2, so that does not work even with the +1 modifier. Next one. Things are looking good, maybe. King Horik of Denmark. So we're now into the 3rd section of the cards, the last part of the thing. Maybe I might have a chance of winning this. Ragnar Lothbrok showed his spoils of war and captives to King Horik of Denmark. Bjorn and Ragnar will advance. Morale and supply go down by 1, so my supply is now at 0. So I need to fix that. I'm going to roll for supply. Oh, and I don't get it. So that is the only turn that I get. Oh, man. Wow, they go from bad to worse quick. King Horik attacks. King Horik sent a fleet of ships up the river Elbe to attack East Francia, mourning and sacking Hamburg. They fail to meet their objective. So Viking 1 will move. Each of them moves 20 times, by the way. Bjorn will move, so he is in Paris. Military goes down 1. Supply is already at 0. Bjorn is a -1 modifier, so I only get the 1 turn because my supply is at 0. I'm going to use a military to change that from a modifier to add 1 to my roll, 5 + 1, so I will push him back, but that's the only turn I get. Next card, King Horik releases. King Horik agreed to send envoys to Louis the German after hearing of the impending invasion to offer the release of captives taken by Ragnar. So Viking 1 will move 2 and Ragnar will move. So Ragnar is in Paris. Viking 2 will move twice. My supply goes up, so I get my 2 turns. My military goes up, but it's a -1 modifier on everybody. So we're going to move Ragnar back, and I'm going to use a military and put myself in a precarious situation, but I want that extra +1 die roll on Ragnar, and I do get it. So he moves back. For my second turn, I think I'm going to push back Bjorn, and 3 - 1 would be a 2, so I do not do it. Next one. Emissaries from Louis the German warned Horik of an impending invasion by Louis the German, who was backed by the saints' supernatural powers if he did not submit as a vassal. So Bjorn and Ivar will advance. So Bjorn is on the shores of Paris. Morale does go up by 1, and Ivar's a -1 modifier. So I got to push Bjorn back, and I get that done. And for my second turn, maybe I'll do Bjorn again. And I do. I push Bjorn right back. So I still have quite a few cards left. So a lot of pressure coming from Paris. Rollo keeps his promise. Rollo keeps his promise to protect Paris and the surrounding area by taking on any future Viking excursions to West Francia. Ragnar will retreat 1. So Ragnar goes back. And +1 to all the resources. So there's 2 real good cards that help the French. This is the second one. As you can tell, part 3 is a later history of the French and the Vikings. Rollo was another Viking leader that attacked Paris, and after he did, he stayed, and he was promised land if he would help protect against any future attacks, and he did. Next card. Ragnar weeps. It is said when Ragnar was in Horik's audience, he broke down in tears and claimed the only resistance from the long dead saints who killed his men on the way home. And a lot of the Vikings died from dysentery, not from the actual war. So Ivar is going to advance. He's now in Paris. Viking 1 is going to advance. Oh, they're both in Paris. My military goes down by 1. Ragnar and Bjorn are both -1. So we're going to try and push back Ivar, and I don't do it. I'm going to push back Ivar again, and I do it. I'm going to use my supply to try and get rid of Viking 1. I'm down to 1 supply. I don't do it. I'm going to go to 0. So next time I'll only have 1 turn, but I got to get him out of here. And I don't do it. So Viking 1 or the Berserkers are there. I defend on 1 to 3. And it's a 4. So the Vikings have, oh no, now I'm in trouble. Thought I was doing pretty good. I was down to, 7 cards. So we move to the Battle of Paris. Just get these off the board here. So they have stormed the palace. And what you do is, first thing you're going to do is you're going to put down the oil on one part of Paris. We'll put it in the north corner, I guess, and we'll roll for the placement of the Vikings. So 4, Ivar will go anywhere. We'll put him on the east. Next one is going to be Ragnar. Ragnar's going to go in 2. There'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a 5 is anywhere, so we'll put Bjorn here and maybe the Berserkers here. So the battle will begin. We will roll like we did before. It will start with the French. They will start with a hot oil. Hits on 1 to 4, and there's no defense of that. And we roll a 6. It does not work. So Berserkers are going to go after, people in the hot oil. So Berserkers, it gets a 4, and they kill the people that are doing the hot oil. So that does not work. That's a key loss for the French. The military is going to take, the militia will go after Bjorn. Looking for a 1-2 here. They don't get it. Bjorn's chance, dice flying all over the place. They are a 3. They get it, and the defense doesn't. So the militia change to a 2 over to their turn. They do get a 2, but shield wall. The Vikings defend against the French. Bjorn now attacking. He is going to get them there now down to 1 strength. French, they do get it, and shield wall does not work, so they do get Bjorn. Bjorn coming back, and shield wall stops the French from getting hit. Over to the French turn. They do get it. It is a hit on Ragnar, on Bjorn. Bjorn trying next. It's a 1. And they take the French out. So the militia are taken out by the Vikings. Over to the military. No, we'll go, archers will go after Ivar. They do get within range, and they get them. So he's down to a 2. Ivar is a 3 on attack also. Does not get it. Over to the archers. Archers, they do get it, but the shield wall protects Ivar. They do not get him. Next one, they knock out the French. French archers are a little weaker. They only have 2 sets of defense. Archers firing back. They don't get it. Ivar, they are in range. And they wipe them out. So the Vikings look like they're on their way to victory. The military is going against Ragnar Lothbrok. This does not look good. I think the end is soon coming. Vikings do not get it. Military, I need a 2. They do. They take out Ragnar. His defense is a 2 on his shield wall. Vikings then fire back. They don't get it. Here comes the military. No, not a hit. Ragnar Lothbrok does not get it. Military, they do. Ragnar's down to 1. They could be taking out the leader here. Ragnar will now fire, does not get it. Military looking to take out Ragnar Lothbrok. No, they don't do it. Looking for a black die, a 3. This will get it. That will take out the military. They're down to 2 people. A black 2 will do it. Oh, Ragnar's shield wall will protect him. Does not take him out. Ragnar Lothbrok, he is in his fight range. The French shield wall works. Does not get him. Looking for a black 1 to 3. They do. Oh, the French are down to 1. This could be it, folks. Looks like I'm losing the Siege of Paris. Vikings are on the wall. They're coming in. And yes, Ragnar's got it. That is the end. I did not survive the Viking siege, so I made it with 8 cards, so I had quite a ways to go. I did have some bad dice rolls there, but this game is called Siege of Paris 845. As I said, I'll clean up some of the grammatical mistakes, some of the spelling mistakes on the cards when I put them. Look to get it in the next 2-3 days. I have the grandkids this weekend, so I'm hoping for Sunday. So that is the Vikings Siege of Paris 845.